Welcome to Fantasy Fanline.
What is up, everybody? We have made it. We have made it to championship week. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and just had some time off to relax and watch those games the last few days. There were some wild ones, and we're here to talk about them all. Can't believe this is the last episode of 2023 and of the season. Time's flying way too fast, but we're here to win some titles. That's the goal. I'm in a few championships myself, and this is where you get really nervous. There's one game left, and it's for all the marbles. But over on my left hand side of the screen, Sinker's back. Missed you last week, buddy. Good to have you back, man.
Yeah, good to be back, Sanj. Championship week, right? It comes all down to this right here. If you made it this far, it's let's dial it up and let's win some money.
Let's get this bread. I just want to remind anyone who's gonna watch us or tune into this last episode that the phone lines are back up this week, and you can give us a ring. Talk about how Brock Purdy screwed you over or helped you advance to the finals. Talk about some matchups. Ask us anything. But without further ado, we want to introduce a friend of the show. He was on TikTok making content last season, but had his first little one come. So been slacking on that, but for good reason. I hope to see him back making TikToks again next year. It was great content, but we can both vouch for our guest that he's he loves this game just like us, and he's diehard just like us. So without further ado, we're gonna bring on Big Lou, aka Habibi Fantasy. What's up, Lou? Good to see you, man.
What's going on, boys? Appreciate you for having me on. Been watching you guys all year and waiting for this episode, and here we are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, man, because it's great to have you on, but it's the last one for a while, and we're gonna make it a good one. Just another reminder: you can give us a call for all everyone watching. We appreciate your love and support all year. It means the world to us, and we're gonna start. I didn't send you guys this one, but we're gonna start off with this, like a quick clip. Jonathan, good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in, bro. We're gonna start off with this one. You don't have to do too much research on it, so let's get to it. If you win a fantasy championship, how do you celebrate? Lou, welcome to the show. What are you doing, man? You popping some bottles? You smack talking everyone? You getting a belt made?
I think the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to the group chat and making sure everybody knows.
That's right.
For the next 7-8 months, however long it is, I'm gonna keep reminding everyone. I know in my home league with all my best friends, we have a championship belt. And whether one of us are getting married or it's a little kid's birthday party or just a hangout, I'm bringing the belt there. Everyone's been doing that so far, so that's typically the trend that we follow.
That's right. Put on like your wrestling theme song, like spit out water, like Triple H. Let them know.
Yeah.
Let them know the champ is here. We have a belt in one of our leagues too. We have a trophy in one of our leagues. We get that engraved every year. If I'm winning the championship, yeah, that's the first thing I'm doing too. I'm running my mouth. I normally don't run my mouth too much, but when that final whistle blows, that's fair game. You're the champ of the year, and you gotta let your league mates know that you're just better than them. At least this year, gotta let them know. Some people want to pop some champagne, they roll something up, whatever you gotta do. Celebrate. I'm all for it, man. Just Sinker, what are you doing when you win a championship? Let's bring that good energy to us.
Yeah, I have a belt as well. It sounds like it's a common theme around here. So we get a belt. But yeah, you got to go to the group chat, man. You got to send a little video. I take it a little far. If you have a group chat, just go ahead and try to FaceTime every single person in the group. You got to keep the smack talk going. But no, something fun that we do in one of my home leagues is we do a championship dinner. So everyone at the beginning of the year, if you've won the championship, you get to go to the dinner, and it's a steak dinner, and we bring in the next person. And so it's, if you haven't won before and you win that championship, you get to come to the steak dinner. If not, and you haven't won, you're just waiting. And we send pictures to the whole group, and we do a little steak night. So something that
Enjoy-
you can.
That's great, man. Enjoy
Yeah,
your
it is.
McDonald's. We actually
A
started.
VIP room.
Yeah, we actually started doing that in one of our leagues, like the champions
Yep.
lunch. We're calling it now, and it really is fun. Like once you're a champ forever. So
Exactly.
better luck next time to the losers, and always remember to flex on those league mates if you win that title because you definitely deserve it. But let's get down to let's get down to real football, and happy the Chiefs fans back. I hope you didn't watch the episode last week because I told everyone they were safe to drop Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and maybe they're not because Isaiah Pacheco has a concussion, and that sucks. So the question is, can you trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire if Isaiah Pacheco's out this week? Sinker, let me kick this off to you in that KC hat.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough call, right? I mean, I think we all probably watched that Chiefs game on Christmas. I think the offense is in a place where I haven't seen the offense be since pre Andy Reid era. I think Nagy, it's something to do with the offensive play calling. It's got something to do with Mahomes not feeling confident with the wide receivers. So I think the offense alone is kind of shaky. I think outside of Rashee Rice, you're not feeling great about it. But if you are a Pacheco owner and you did hold on to Clyde, the good thing is, the Bengals have given up. They've gained. Let's see, after they allowed the Vikings and the Steelers to gain 100 yards on the ground, and they're coming into Arrowhead. I think the Bengals is a get right game for Mahomes. I like the spark that Clyde brings out of the backfield. I think when Pacheco was out, they started dishing him the ball. So. I would trust him in a championship week if you have Pacheco. I think volume alone, and I think Mahomes not being able to trust those wide receivers, I think he's a decent start.
Yeah, just hoping he could get 4 receptions, 5 receptions, boost that floor up, and hope he gets in the end zone. So I'm not too sure if you can trust him, but at this point in championship week, when you lose one of your best backs in Pacheco, if you're lucky enough to be able to get Clyde off waivers, my bad, and get him, or you held on to him and told me to screw myself last week when I said he was droppable, then you might as well play him. So you did say it's a good matchup against Cincy. No Joe Burrow. You just gotta hope he falls into the end zone. So the trust level is not too high, but I have to play him in a league. So let's ride or die together, Fanline family. Lou, how you feeling about the Chiefs backfield if Pacheco's out?
I'd fire up in my RB2 if I have obviously this question depends on how your roster looks, but I currently have him as a mid RB2 for the week. The Bengals are an okay matchup. They're 18th against running backs this year. They've given up about 120 total yards a game to running backs and just under a touchdown a game. So you would think this is a like Sinker said, this is a get right game for the Chiefs, but they've been struggling the past few weeks. The hope would be is that they would have the lead going into the fourth quarter. They would probably pound the ball, try to kill some clock, but you never really know. Late in season, teams are battling for the playoffs. Bengals are still in that 7th seed conversation, so you never really know. But I'd fire him up as RB2.
It's just crazy that sorry to rub it in, Singer, but Aiden O'Connell didn't even complete a pass after the first or second I read, and that defense still walked away with the win. That's just insane.
I mean, it's the Chiefs. They lost the game. I don't think the Raiders on paper won. They got the dub, but you can't give up 14 points in 8 seconds like that and expect to win in the National Football League. So it doesn't matter who you're playing.
For sure, and it looks rough. Kelsey's throwing his helmet. Andy Reid's yelling at him. Mahomes, you see the pain in his eyes. That man has no one to throw to, running for his life. Not a feel for him. But.
I will say there were times yesterday where there was wide receivers open. So it's I don't think we can put it all on the wide receivers. I think Mahomes has the jitters right now. He's not comfortable back there. I don't know if it's the play calling, if it's the trust in the wide receivers, but there were guys open and he was just scrambling for his life. So I don't know. We'll see. It should be a get right game, but I've been saying that since week whatever, Sanch. I think I come on here and say that every week. So
we also got to give some credit to the Raiders because they've been playing very well since they fired McDaniels.
Yeah, I mean that defense is nasty. That pass rush is great. So
Antonio Pierce, Giants legend. Respect to you, bud. You're doing great things over there.
He should be their coach next year.
I'm with that.
100% agree.
let's keep it rolling. It's a championship, so we ask this almost every week, but this is the last time we will. Best streaming defenses this week. You know, I, it's tough because yesterday I benched Baltimore because of the tough matchup, and they ended up crushing it. They're just an elite defense, and now I'm asking myself the same thing. Like, they get Miami this week. It's a tough matchup, but do I just put them in? Is Tua going to throw like 3 picks, 4 picks like Purdy? There's my scoop and score. That defense is just so damn good, and I'm contemplating the Ravens over any streaming option. I know I picked up the Chiefs. That's who I played Baltimore over. That was a mistake. I mean, they
Yep.
didn't have a horrible game, but the Ravens ended up doing way better. And the Chiefs I thought it would be a good matchup this week, but I'm leaning Baltimore over them. It's going to ride or die with a great defense. But as far as streaming options, LA Rams. I mean, they come to the East Coast playing my Giants. I would have liked that way more if Tommy Cutlets was still a quarterback with Tyrod. Tyrod was looking all right yesterday against Philly. So if he gets the start, I don't like it too much, but I still think that defense is a good stream no matter what. Seattle at home against Pittsburgh. I'm into Tampa Bay, New Orleans. It's a division game. I can see that. I can see there being turnovers all around in that one. That's what I got written down. So I'm curious who you guys got. Pass it to you, Lou.
So I got the Broncos this week against the Chargers. Believe it or not,
Good
they
one.
actually have 24 sacks in the last 8 weeks and 17 turnovers in that same span. So they've been putting some pretty good pressure on the quarterback, causing turnovers. And obviously, those are the two best ways to score points in fantasy for your defense is sacks and turnovers. And in that same time frame, they've scored double-digit fantasy points 5 times out of the last 8 weeks. So obviously, if you don't have an elite defense like you mentioned, the Ravens or the 49ers who've gotten you here so far, and you want to go with the streamer, I go with the Broncos this week.
I like that one a lot. I didn't see him on the list because they were owned already, so that's on me. But that's a great matchup. Chargers are a disaster, and I think there's going to be some points there for Broncos defense for sure. Sinker, anyone you want to add, or we got them all?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to talk about, we mentioned the Raiders a little bit earlier in the show. That defense is playing great. I know, Lou, they're playing the Colts. I actually like the Colts on the other side of the ball as well. I think both those defenses, if they're out there, they would be streamable for me. The Raiders is just more so of like, we talked about how elite that defense is playing. And then on the Colts side of the ball, it's like, we all watch that game that the Raiders offense without Josh Jacobs is they can't move the ball. So
For sure. I like that too. Whoever you stream, best of luck. Win your title. I know Jonathan chimed in with a defense question. He says, rank the Jets, Jacksonville, or Houston defense. And
we
I think we lost Lou. Hope he can get back.
Probably pissed off. I said
rank
Raiders D, but
Colts hater. All right, let's break this down. We got the Jets at the Browns. Jets getting 7 points, 35.5 over under. It's low. Browns have everything to play for. Jets have nothing to play for. Flacco, as good of a game he had, he's still throwing picks. So I still think it's a good start in a low over under. We can go swing to the Jags or the Titans and Texans, 42.5. Texans 3.5 home point favorites. Who the Jags got? I'm trying to scroll through these matchups right here.
The Jags are playing Carolina. But
I think I like that.
I know. I just don't think the Jacksonville defense is that good.
It's not.
I mean,
it's not at all.
I'm honestly probably, I don't know. It's tough, man. I might just go with the Jets. I know Flacco has been balling. It's a short week though. He's an old man. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see what he did this last week on Thursday night. So I think the Jets defensive unit, if you look at the team, is the best one in that. And I think I'm just going to ride with that in championship week.
I think I'm with you. I think it's between the Jets and Jacksonville. Jets obviously a better defense, but
Jacksonville has a better matchup. Yeah.
Yeah. Once Sam Howell got benched, that defense was getting chipped up. So that's a tough one, Jonathan. Hate playing those Thursday night matchups, but it is a low over under. Vegas thinks it's gonna be a defensive ground and pound kind of game. and you kind of have to chase that when you're streaming, you're playing your defenses. So I'm with you, man. I think I'm rocking the Jets in Cleveland. Hope Flacco throws a few picks, maybe get a lucky pick six, scoop and score. So yeah, I'll go Jets, Jacksonville, Houston. You agree with that order, Sinker?
Yep, I'm on board with
Cool.
that.
Cool. Jonathan also added, is Zach Moss droppable? In the last week of the year with Jonathan Taylor back, I think you can drop him if you need to, man. I know we said hold on to him weeks and weeks ago. He still had he was ruled out week 16. If he's back, I think it's Jonathan Taylor's show now. We could ask this to Lou, Colts fan. Welcome back. Sorry about your internet connections, but it's good to have you back. Is Zach Moss
Sorry about
droppable,
that.
man? It's all right.
Yeah, I'd drop him. JT's back. He looked good last week, but Zach Moss isn't really going to do much other than just spell JT whenever he needs a break. He doesn't provide any PPR upside, so if you have Zach Moss, I'd rather play defense against your opponent.
Yeah, for sure. And he was ruled out last week, so if he did play, he'd be coming back off the injury. Said it's against the Raiders, who've been playing good defense, and if anyone's gonna ball out, I think it's Jonathan Taylor from this point on. He'll be a top 12 pick next year, rightfully so. That contract situation, you're not going to see that anymore. So he's locked in as one of the best in the league, and he's going to continue to be one of the best in the league. So, yeah, you can drop Zach Moss, man. Jonathan says, "Let's go Colts." We got some Colts fans up in here today. Love to see it. Fans from all over. Jonathan's from Jersey, rooting for the Colts. So I know one of my friends who lives out in Texas roots for the Colts. So you guys run pretty deep. I respect that. This one's a tough one. This one Sinker sent to me and just been puzzling me, man. I don't know how to answer it really, but
Yeah.
should bench Stephon Diggs in the championship game? And he's been very, very cold, man. Hasn't scored 10 points in the last 3 weeks after the bye. That being said, he's still the wide receiver 8, number 23 overall, and has a New England Patriots matchup. He's been very disappointing. And with that being said, there's no chance in hell I'm leaving Stephon Diggs on my bench in a championship game. I know you got to follow the trends and sometimes, but this is Stephon Diggs we're talking about. He hasn't goose egged you. He's still gotten you some points. It's just been a rough little patch. Against some decent Chargers. I expected them to do way better against the Chargers, but it is what it is. That's fantasy football. It's the NFL. We've seen it happen. We're going to continue to see it happen. Me personally, Stephon Diggs is in my lineup unless you're absolutely, positively stacked at receiver, and I don't think most people are that stacked and that fortunate to leave a player like Stephon Diggs on the bench, especially in the championship weekend at home against New England. That man's in my lineup, and you're just hoping he gets right. I'm ride or dying with Stephon Diggs. I'm curious if you guys feel any different about it. Lou, pass it to you, man.
It'd be very hard to bench Diggs, especially against the Pats that are 24th against wide receivers this year. I have Diggs as a high-end wide receiver 2 for the week, just because he's been struggling the past 6 weeks or so. But I would say this. If you have somebody on your team, if your wide receiver 4 is someone who's been playing very well, say, for example, Zay Flowers, I think that's somebody I'd rather pull the trigger on. Zay Flowers against Miami, which could be a shootout.
Could be, yeah.
Than to play Diggs and kind of, get you 8, 9, 10 points, whatever he's been getting you lately.
Yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers has been balling, so I can definitely respect that decision. I would definitely try to find a way to put them both in my lineup, but yeah, I guess if that was the only option between those two, like say you have a Puka against the Giants, it's a 2 wide receiver league. You're stacked at running backs. You want to play all 3 of your backs, and you have Diggs, Puka, and Flowers. I can see a world where you could bench Diggs and start those other 2 guys. I wouldn't feel too great about it, but that's a great example. Sinker, I'm curious on your thoughts. Disappointing Stephon Diggs. Does he get right? Are you benching him in the championship game, or is he gonna make his fantasy managers happy this week?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much touched on it. I think it's, at the end of the day, it's Stephon Diggs. And if you got this far with Diggs and you're, you're in the championship and with the 6, 7, 8, 9 points he's been giving you, if you're still winning games, I think his upside, he's got some of the higher upside out of all the wide receivers in the league right now. So I know the Patriots and Bill Belichick, they do a good job at eliminating, the best target, which they'll probably try to get rid of Diggs out of that game. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they try to take Diggs or they try to take Cook out of the game, because Cook's been balling too. And it's I think since James Cook started going, the Bills have completely turned around on offense. So
Gabe Davis had his monster. Finally.
I know. To simply answer this question, I don't think I would take Diggs out of my lineup. But I agree with Lou. If you've got some guys that are hot right now, and it's shallow league, 2 wide receivers, something like that, like ride the hot hand.
So what if it's between Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper coming off that historic game?
I'm playing Amari Cooper, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Cooper.
It's kind of hard to bench Amari Cooper after that game, but we'll see.
Yeah.
See how Sauce Gardner treats him. It's an interesting matchup to watch in a game with a low over/under. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper, man, breaking Browns records, Josh Gordon's record. That was just insane to watch. And my Giants are out, so like I'm kind of turning into a rent the Browns fan right now. I'm loving Joe Flacco tearing it up. And
they're fun to watch.
Yeah, they are.
They're fun. They have a great defense, a lot of weapons.
Do you guys remember this? So like in our group chat on Sleeper, I made a trade earlier this year. I traded Gibbs and Amari Cooper for Devontae Adams. Do you remember that?
That's killing you right now. I think
Dude.
Now that you said it,
Dude, that combo put up like 75 points this weekend. And the dude I traded it to, he's now in the championship, and I'm not. I'm just like watching on the sideline. It's like one of those things. It's like, man, if I went back in time, like I probably would make the trade again, because it's getting Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper was like Watson that just got hurt. Gibbs, I don't know. I wasn't patient enough with Gibbs, but that's a whole other conversation. But man, that trade this week, I was like, wow, I completely blew it.
Yeah, note to self: never trade again. Ride or die with the shit. Yeah, that's a tough one to swallow, man. Mark Cooper, good stuff, man. Everyone wrote you off, said you were washed. Apparently not. And Jahmyr Gibbs, we talked about you all year. Love to see it out there. We do.
Yeah, man.
We do. For any reason, Amari Cooper and Jahmyr Gibbs are watching Fantasy Fanline right now. That'd be sick.
We have a group chat named after you, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, we do.
Let's see. Jonathan chimes in again. Thoughts on flexing Zay Jones and PPR? Well, you gotta watch the health. He didn't play last week, but he's back at practice, and he could play in week 17. He says his other options are Drake London, Christian Watson, or Jalen Warren. I do think Zay Jones is interesting. Kirk Ridley's been balling. Let me see.
I mean, what is Trevor Lawrence going to play?
That's a big if too.
If Trevor Lawrence is out, like I'm not touching Zay Jones at all.
Same here.
Christian Watson hasn't been practicing either.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, honestly, like
London Bridges. I think
I would probably go. I mean, I don't know, dude. I like Jalen Warren, honestly. Like he's averaging in the past 3 weeks. He's averaging 6 targets a game, 5 receptions, double digits in the last 3 weeks in PPR leagues. Against the Seahawks, like I'm probably going Warren in that situation, but that's just me.
Yeah, I like his floor. I know London last few weeks has been but we know what he could do. He could have the big game in Chicago. I'm kind of liking that. Kind of feeling him this week. I'm personally rocking London out of your bunch. Sinker likes Warren. What do you like, Lou? Sorry to make it hard on you, Jonathan, but these championship decisions are pretty tough.
I think if you're going for the ceiling play, I think Drake London's the play. If you've seen him the last 6 weeks or so, he's either gotten you a whole lot or nothing.
Pretty much.
So depending on your lineup, if you need a guy to get you 20 points, go for London. If you want a guy to get you anywhere from 10 to 12, just to get you by, I think Jalen Warren would be your guy, but I don't think I would go with Zay Jones, and Christian Watson would be tough to depend on after he's missed the last few weeks.
Yeah, and we need London to not have a good week so Arthur Smith gets fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't talk about the 7-leg touchdown parlay I had and hit all 6 of them besides Bijan. So yeah, Algier scored, of course. Whatever.
Yeah,
Screw Arthur
it'll
Smith.
be interesting to
All I
see
gotta
this offseason if they don't fire Arthur Smith, how the community reacts to Bijan. It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Of course, as the Colts had to help him keep his job.
All right, Ray chimes in. Hey guys, pick 2 to start. Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, Joshua Palmer, Christian Watson. Amari Cooper, you got to play after last week. I think he's locked. And then the second one is pretty tough for me. Garrett Wilson not going the way you wanted it to go this year. Solid game against Washington though, with no Zach Wilson. So
That's tough, man.
I think I'm actually gonna roll both those guys on Thursday out of this bunch. I think start the guys you've been playing all year, help get you there. I know Thielen had his hot streak and he's still okay, but I think I'm rocking Amari Cooper and Garrett Wilson here, Ray. Curious what you guys think. Sinker.
Man, that's tough. I mean, Amari Cooper's locked in for sure. And then there's something to be said, honestly, about Wilson, Thielen, or Palmer, whichever one, you feel more comfortable with. I think, Wilson is probably the best talent in that group, and all 3 of them are pretty close. I'm curious just with, the Jets quarterback situation, who they're going with and how Garrett Wilson plays without Zach Wilson there. That's something to look at, short week, but yeah, I mean, I'll just agree with you for the sake of making this easy on Ray. I don't want to get too deep into it. I'll probably go, Amari and Wilson.
And I did mention that Browns Jets game is a low over under 35.5. It could be a defense game, but I can't. There's no way you're benching Amari Cooper after last week and that connection with Flacco. I know Sauce Gardner, whatever. I can't leave that guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Thielen caught 6 passes. He seemed to have a pretty damn good floor all year. And I think Christian Watson has been practicing, so I'm kind of over him. I'm not gonna rely on him, even if he does play. To be honest, he's been hurt, and I just can't do it to myself. Guy coming back off injury. I'm one of unless you're like Christian McCaffrey or someone crazy spectacular. I hate playing players that are just back from injury who are one tweak away from getting you that goose egg. Palmer, I hate these Chargers. Anyone on that Chargers team, I just can't stand. I know he had that big game against the Raiders, solid 4 game against the Bills, but he led the team in receiving. Team's kind of a mess though. At Denver, Luke talked about how we like that Denver Broncos defense matchup. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm sticking to Amari Cooper, Garrett Wilson on Thursday. I know I talked about the defensive game, but out of this bunch, I just gotta play those guys personally and hope for the best. Lou, I'm curious your thoughts on this bunch. Who you're gonna take?
I'm going with you guys, Wilson and Cooper. I thought about Thielen a little bit, then I took a glance at the stats. Even his target share has gone down. He's losing 5 to 6 targets a game compared to what he did for the first 7 games of the year. So his ceiling's gone down a little bit. I don't know how much trust Easton stick with Josh Palmer there. And Christian Watson, like we said before, I'm not going to play a guy in the championship game who's missed the last 2 or 3 games. So I go Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper.
Cool. I'm glad we all agreed on that one. Made it a little easier. Sabri, sorry if I got your name wrong. Sabri asks if McBride, Komet, or George Kittle in Week 17. And congratulations on having most of the solid tight ends left. If you have all 3 of these tight ends, because it's pretty damn good. It's a tough question. We saw San Fran kind of collapse yesterday, but they have, we'll talk about it more later. They have a great matchup. McBride at Philadelphia. He's had a good floor. I got to rock George Kittle, man. It's championship week. George Kittle against the Washington Commanders. I don't think I'm getting cute with it. I, I'm playing George Kittle, and spoiler, I'm expecting a huge bounce back game from Brock Purdy after that disaster last night. I know McBride's a beast. Komet's been balling with Fields. Like all three of these are great options. I'm rocking with George Kittle in the championship week. Lou, what about you, man?
It's between Komet and Kittle for me, just because Komet has been so steady all year. He's getting you 12 points, But in championship week, I don't know if I could bench Kittle, especially playing Washington. Washington's been the worst defense in the NFL. Like you said, it's going to be. We're going to talk about that a little later on the show, but I'd go with Kittle just for that upside because I think Shanahan's really going to score that game.
Yeah, and even though that was a disaster for him yesterday, he still what do you have? 10 targets, 7 catches, and 126 yards, almost 20 points in PPR formats. Like even when it hit rock bottom for San Fran, George Kittle was still a dog, number 4 tight end, and I just can't bench a stud like that in the championship. I'm sticking to my guns there. Sinker, do you agree? You rocking with George Kittle?
Yeah. So I think Komet will probably be ruled out this week after that knee injury. So for me, it's between McBride and Kittle and Sanch, basically everything you said. I think the 49ers bounce back. I think Purdy bounces back, throws a couple touchdowns, and I think Kittle will get some of those. So for me, it's pretty easy. Lock in Kittle and ride.
Let's do it. George Kittle, we're going to be rooting for you this week. I'm not against you in any leagues. I'm just, I hope everyone watching. I want you guys to all win too. So I'm not that selfish, but let's talk about it. Let me pull that up. Since we already kind of spoiled it. Are we benching Brock Purdy in week 17? And if you watched the game last night, it's a great game on paper, and the Ravens just kind of dominated it once the game happened. Lamar Jackson looking like he's taking over that MVP. Brock Purdy passed that away to him real fast in one game. And the answer here is no. I'm not benching Brock Purdy in week 17. We talked about, Baltimore being an elite defense. It was a rough game. Everyone has them, but still the QB5. Look like you think. I don't think he's going to throw 4 picks again. Not against Washington. I am rolling. Unless you have a stud, I'm rolling Brock Purdy with confidence. There's only a couple quarterbacks I'm playing over him. Probably playing him over Mahomes in this matchup. I think Jalen Hurts I'm playing over Purdy. I have to look at the list, but there's not too many people. I know he burned a lot of you yesterday. If you somehow played Brock Purdy and managed to sneak by, maybe you had Breece Hall and a couple other studs. Congratulations. The fantasy gods were on your side. You got really lucky, and I think you're actually gonna have a solid week against Washington. It's only a stinger, as they say, not expected to linger, is what Shanahan said. And I think he's gonna get right. San Fran's still gonna make a run at this Super Bowl. I still think they're still the favorites in my eyes, even though Ravens beat them yesterday. I think if there's a rematch somewhere down the line, it'll be a different story. And I'm not nervous at all about Brock Purdy at Washington. Like that matchup doesn't scare anybody. I'll take us 3 out there, maybe getting 10 yards if we had 10 throws. So, but yeah, I'm curious. You guys rocking Brock Purdy? I'll pass this to you, Sinker. You benching him, or we kind of spoiled this one already, but
we were talking about it earlier in the show. I'm sticking with Purdy. If you somehow made it to the championship, like Sanchi said, I think he's in such a good bounce back spot in this week, and I think he's going to probably finish in my mind as a top 3, top 5 quarterback this week. So I'm pretty confident with him. I think it was a fluke. He might not be as good as a quarterback as what we think, but the system and the players there are going to make him good. And for fantasy purposes, I'm firing him up.
For sure. Lou, you agree, or you rocking with Brock Purdy? You forgive him?
Yeah, I'm leaving Purdy in your lineup. I'll be start him and just enjoy because the Commanders are dead last in points against quarterbacks. Like I said before, I think Shanahan's going to be pissed off after last week. I think they're going to run up the score against the Commanders. We shouldn't overreact to one bad game from Brock Purdy. He's in the MVP consideration, And like Sanchi said, Sinker, whether we think he's actually good or not, his numbers are saying that he needs to be in your lineup. So put him in your lineup, enjoy what he's going to produce for you, and hopefully win a championship.
I still think he's good, man. I've seen some of the greats have games like that. I'm not saying he's one of the greats, but I think he's in the right, definitely in the right situation. He's still got to make the throws. Few were off some receivers' hands. A few were his fault. It's put it in the past. If you're in the championship game, and unless you have a guy like Hurts or Allen, Lamar, you're playing Brock Purdy against Washington, and you're not even second guessing that. I'm glad we all agree there. But let's talk about another injury to San Fran. You know, Trent Williams suffered a groin injury. His backup, Jalen Moore, got a concussion, and his backup, Aaron Banks, injured his toe. How does this affect the San Fran offense? Well, it's not rocket science. It hurts it. It hurts it a lot. Trent Williams is one of the best in the league. But with that being said, Washington's ass. We're still firing up our Niners. I think I could speak for everyone on this one. We all agree that it hurts losing Trent Williams, but we're not too shook to bench any 49ers offensive players against the Commanders, right?
Yeah,
Thumbs up.
they'll make it work.
Agree.
Yeah, they're going to make it work. Trent Williams, get right. One of the best in the league. So we'll keep that one short and sweet. And answer this one. Need a miracle replacement for Jordan Addison. Who should I pick up? And it's kind of funny because Jonathan chimed in and said, thoughts on Demarcus Robinson. So kind of goes hand in hand here. You need a desperate play. I mean, this guy scored in 4 straight games and now plays my Giants.
Right.
Haven't been great to say the least. So for a desperation play, I don't mind it at all. Obviously, Puka Cup, they run the show. But if you're that desperate and you need to play a guy, if you lost Addison, he was on the top of my list as for players to pick up. I like him over Osborne. I'm not impressed with Osborne. Like I like Demarcus Robinson. He's been on a heater, and sometimes you got to follow that trend. I'm not saying he's going to score again, but Giants matchup's good. Just be happy you don't have to play in Week 18 at San Fran because we said they're going to be pissed off. So I started to get off topic. Robinson's mine for a very, very desperate play if you are that desperate. But Sinker, I'll pass this to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple guys. If you look at the waiver, you mentioned KJ Osborne. I think we know what we're going to get with KJ Osborne. There's a reason why Addison and obviously JJ were playing ahead of him, but he was consistently the third wide receiver in that team. So naturally, you're going to see an uptick in route participation, and with that, it's going to come targets. So if you're looking for a miracle, I mean, I would definitely put in a claim for KJ Osborne. Just going through this a little bit more. Let's see. We've got I would look at Chris Rodriguez for the Commanders. I know we talked about them a little bit. Rookie found the end zone twice last week against the Jets. That's a miracle plug-in and play. Hopefully he gets a goal line tutty for you. We talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire earlier. If someone did drop him, I think he's a guy you could pick up. And if Pacheco's out, he's a good plug-in if you can find the flex spot instead of the wide receiver. And then, I agree with Demarcus Robinson. Those are guys that if you need a miracle, that's who I'm going with.
And it's not too pretty. It's definitely not too pretty on championship, going into championship weekend, looking at that waiver wire. So you gotta get what you can get. I'm curious on who you think this player should pick up, Lou.
Ironically, my 2 options were Demarcus Robinson and KJ Osborne. I put the same thing that he said, Sanchi. Robinson has four straight games with touchdowns, averaging 16 points a game. I don't know how sustainable that is, but he's been doing it. I do think that you should look out for your waiver wire and look out for the name Demario Douglas, just in case someone dropped him because he missed some games. He's not going to be a world beater, but he's a guy who can get you, 10 to 11 fantasy points just on PPR.
For sure. That's good stuff. I'm glad we all agreed. We'll see how sustainable it is. He is playing my Giants, though, so, I might bet him anytime touchdown. Who knows? I'm sure the odds will be great. But, so someone just chimed in about a tight end question. Have any tight end plug-in plays if Komet can't go this week? And it's funny because we were just about to get into that same thing. Tight end streamers in the championship. Just lost Hop. sorry about that loss. It's a huge loss. One of the best tight ends of, not the best this year. Kelsey. I don't want to talk too much about Kelsey. I don't want to get him upset. But Hawk is one of the best. So that's a huge loss, especially in your championship week. I'm really liking Gerald Everett against Denver this week. It's very desperate, but he's a good pickup. The replacement for Hawk is Josh Oliver. I'm staying away from that. I'm gonna keep rolling with my guy who I talked about since Thanksgiving, Tucker Kraft. If Musgrave's out again, like Tucker Kraft's been solid. So if he's chilling on those waiver wires, I'm gonna put in a bid over everyone on Kraft. So Tucker Kraft and Gerald Everett for me. Just tight end's a wasteland. You just kind of have to keep your fingers crossed or hope Komet can go. Obviously, if Komet goes, I'm playing Komet over both those guys. I'm not sure how the schedules align, and if you have that news quick, Bears are at 1 on Sunday, so you should be all right with that. It's Tucker Kraft for me, Gerald Everett. I'm curious if you guys have any more tight end streamers. I know it's very, very thin, so it's okay if you don't. Lou, I'll pass it to you.
So this actually hits home to me because I'm in 2 championships this week, one with Hawkinson and one with Komet. They're both dynasty, so as you know, there's no such thing as tight end streamers in dynasty. It's whatever you got on your bench. But I really like Gerald Everett this week. Over the past 5 weeks, he's averaged 10 PPR points a game, 7 targets a game, 5 catches. I don't think you can ask more out of a streaming tight end than those numbers. I do think if you want to reach a little deep, I think you can go with Chigakonkwo. Surprisingly enough, he's had a few games where he's gotten 9 and 10 points in fantasy over the last 3 or 4 games. So if you're really desperate and Everett and Kraft aren't available, I shoot for Chigakonkwo.
I like that one. And we're hoping Komet can rock for you, Max, but just happy to give out advice in case you can't. Sinker, anyone you want to add? Anyone you like out of the names we mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going with Chig or I'm going with Everett, both those guys are averaging close to 6 targets in the past 4 or 5 weeks. So if you're looking for a streamer, the volume, that's what you're going to get, and then you hope one of them finds pay dirt.
Just saying, Tucker Kraft had 6 targets the last 4.
I mean, so I love Tucker Kraft, but in most of my leagues, he's been picked up. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
so I think Everett is probably he's probably still on your waiver wire.
Yeah,
and then
we're in very sharp leagues. We're nerds with this.
But
so
yeah, if Kraft is not, he's my number one. Obviously,
he's 26% rostered.
Everett's one of those guys who've been picked up and dropped probably 6 times this year.
Yeah, I mean, Kraft would be my number one. I think with the injuries there, I think he's my number one pickup. But if not, go to the other guys.
Yeah, Everett, he hauled in 7 passes and 46% rostered. Kraft is 26. I don't know if anyone still has Chig. No, he's 28. Chig's more rostered than Tucker Kraft, so
that's surprising.
Yeah, take that as you will, and hopefully, if Komet doesn't go, you make the right choice, man. Zach, thanks for the question. Thanks for Max. Now you're gonna hate me. I got your name wrong, but regardless, thanks for the question. Thanks for tuning in, man, and hope you win your championship. You're rooting for whatever tight end you play. Tommy Donuts, Thomas Doer, you're right back at you, buddy. We're just talking about tight end streamers. It's not too pretty in the championship, but Tom's a Jets fan, so let's roll this one out. We kind of talked about it earlier. We're rolling out Joe Flacco against the Jets. Joe Flacco. Let's kind of break that down for a little bit. Fountain of youth, man. I was talking before the show. It might have been on the show. This guy's just great to watch, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving the Joe Flacco comeback. They got this guy off the couch to the practice squad, and now he's just been slinging. He's been slinging it, man. Great quarterback scoring the last 4 weeks since he came on. Like, he hasn't lost you any matchups for sure. He hasn't lost you anything. Yeah, you're staying the Flames. You threw for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. I know Amari Cooper had a lot to do with that, but they got that chemistry down. We talked about the low over under on the Thursday night game, 35.5. Jets being a tougher defense than Jacksonville, Chicago, Houston, whoever he played. I think Jets are the toughest defense out of all of them. So people want to know, are we rolling out Joe Flacco against the Jets in a low over under Thursday night game in your fantasy football championships? And the answer is yes in Superflex. I think I'm keeping that short. Superflex is rough unless you're like completely stacked. You got Hurts and Purdy. You got, I don't know. But we'll say 90% of the time you're going to roll Flacco out in Superflex the way he's been playing. This for one quarterback leagues. We'll assume. Sinker, let me hear it, man. Fountain of Youth, Joe Flacco, 38 years old, out of Delaware, playing like he's fresh out of college, man.
Yeah, so same guy. I said 2 weeks ago, I was trusting Joe Flacco, and I'm firing him up. Well, let's go championship week. I am not trusting Joe Flacco against the Jets on a short week. I think this is the week where he is going to burn you if you play Joe Flacco. I think short week, he hasn't played any good defenses yet. This is going to be the toughest matchup, and I think he is going to get exposed. And the touchdowns are getting him there, but he's thrown 5 interceptions in the past 2 weeks, and now he's playing arguably one of the best secondaries in the NFL. So I guess in Superflex, if you don't have any other options, you can play him. But if you're debating him and redrafting a championship game, I wish that you're my opponent and you do start him.
I mean, Jacoby Brissett came in, started ripping up that secondary. Why can't my man Joe Flacco do it? I'm gonna disagree with you, man, for some last episode drama. Come on, Joe, rip those Jets.
Thursday night football. That's why. Lou will be the deciding factor here.
Yeah, there is a low over under. It's Thursday night football. I said it 100 times. We'll say it again. Lou, you rocking with Joe Flacco? We'll do a little game and see who will play Flacco over. Let me pull up a list real quick. But let me hear what you have to say first, Lou.
I don't think I'm playing Joe Flacco this week. I don't think.
Whatever,
I don't think
guys.
we realize how good this Jets defense is. In the last 9 games, they've given up 123 passing yards a game, which includes -9 yards to the Giants. So, I just want to throw that out there. Flacco's been pretty good, for the past month or so, but you've said this 3 or 4 times. So low over under total. It's Thursday night game, short week. I don't know. I love the story. I love the Joe Flacco story. I love the Cleveland Browns story, but I think the train stops here.
Let's play this game. Joe Flacco or Tommy DeVito or Tyrod Taylor. Not like anyone's starting these guys. No, let's be serious. No one's probably starting these guys. We're talking one QB. What names? Yeah, you're probably playing Kyler. I don't know. Kyler at Philly. It's tougher. You're playing Kyler over Flacco. I think I am.
Yeah, just the rushing upside.
Stroud if he plays, Flacco. Trevor Lawrence if he plays. Stroud if he plays, I'm playing Stroud. Lawrence if he plays, I'm playing Lawrence. I'm trying to find this cutoff line, like where you can consider.
I mean, yeah. How about like Gardner Minshew?
We talked about the Raiders defense.
I'm taking Gardner.
Okay.
I'm taking Gardner.
What about Geno Smith?
Who are the Seahawks playing again this week?
Pittsburgh in Seattle.
I think I'm playing Geno.
Okay.
Pittsburgh pass defense has been pretty weak.
I think the line right here is like Nick Mullins, Jordan Love, Jake Browning. Yeah. And then I guess you could throw in those Giants quarterbacks.
I was going to say he's about the Taylor Heineke tier.
Yeah, I think I'm playing Jordan Love. I don't know, man. Joe Flacco, whatever, man. It's the last episode. You're all going to forget next year anyway. Joe Flacco, let's get it done. That's a great question. So these guys, they're not rolling Joe Flacco out. Me, I'm saying this with my head.
Dude,
I'm saying this with my heart, not my head.
if you would have told us three in last summer that we would be debating playing Joe Flacco in the fantasy championship, we all would have been like, "There's no fucking way." And then now we're on Fanline talking about should we play Joe Flacco in a money game?
That's why I love this game, man. You can't predict. You could do all the research and mocks you want, but show me a mock that had Joe Flacco drafted, and
Unreal, dude.
I'll personally Venmo him $20. If you,
Hey, Joe Flacco was slinging it last year, and he was on the Jets for those 2 or 3 weeks that he was playing.
Yeah,
and he's got an O-line. He's got better weapons. I know Garrett Wilson is probably the guy I want over Cooper personally. We're talking dynasty, but Joe Flacco, whatever, man. Just go get it done against the Jets. Prove these guys wrong. Have a monster for me. Make my Thursday night.
It could be a revenge game too.
True. Yeah, look, Rodgers is hurt. You got rid of me. See what? Yeah. Watch this. Let me show you something.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns are playing for that 1 seed still. They're not eliminated from the 1. If they beat the Jets, it's like that's crazy to me. Like the Joe Flacco and the Browns could have the 1 seed.
They're 7-point favorites, and I might have put $20 on them to win the Super Bowl.
If Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl, man, then this is a simulation, man.
Yeah,
I asked somebody this question earlier today. If Joe Flacco, hypothetically, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, do you put him above Eli Manning?
Oh hell no!
yes, I do. Man. I do.
Put him in the hall, but not above Eli.
Just to mess with Sanchi, man. I think he's better than Eli.
Listen, Joe Flacco never beat that undefeated Patriots team.
If Joe Flacco literally wins the Super Bowl with the Browns at this age coming back, I mean, they're gonna make a movie about that.
That's impressive, and I will watch it. I'll be at the Thursday midnight release to watch the Joe Flacco Cleveland Browns story. Just a great story. Yeah, I see the argument that he's going to come back down to earth against the Jets, realistically speaking. But damn, my heart wants him to shred him up, man. So Joe Flacco, rooting for you, bud. Great story. Always been a pretty solid quarterback, man. Has a Super Bowl already. Obviously had an elite defense. Has an elite defense again. But it's a team sport, So that Thursday night game, very interesting. Browns 7-point favorites. Jets nothing to play for, as I said. Browns everything to play for. So I'll be locked in. Can't wait to watch that one.
Yeah.
Flacco ain't getting through Baltimore. Yeah.
No, you're probably right.
You're probably right on that one.
That's a revenge game.
That's the true revenge game.
That's the true revenge game. Yeah.
Remember me?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're almost out of time, so last episode of the year. We're just having fun now. Bittersweet moment. Now our Tuesdays are open again, but we do love doing this. So let's talk. Let's hit the rewind button and let's talk biggest bust of the fantasy year and the best value or values. Like, let's get through it. The best values have to be Puka and Kyron Williams, right? Like, if they were drafted. So I could think of like, if they, we're considering them not in this conversation because most leagues didn't draft those guys. I'll go Mike Evans because everyone wrote him off and they considered him like, on that retirement tour. I know Sinker was one of them. I traded for Evans in the Dynasty League. He's like, oh, I got him on his retirement tour. I'm like, nah, he still has juice. He still has juice. So Mike Evans, like the one, if you're talking about leagues that he's mostly drafted in, it's Mike Evans, but Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, man. Another reason I love fantasy. Like, no one was really looking at these guys, and these guys are in probably a majority of championship lineups this week. So those three are the best values for me. We'll start with value. We'll save the worst for last. We'll leave on a note of crapping on players way more successful than us to feel better about ourselves. That's what I want to do. But who is your best value, Big Lou? Let me hear it.
So I want to throw a couple honorable mentions in here. I think Sam Laporta was amazing for tight ends. He
slipped my mind. That's a great one.
Damn near last round in the draft. You could have got him in like the 14th round. Nico Collins is somebody who's good. He was probably going like in what? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Probably like 9th, 10th, 11th round.
I can't even think
But
back to mock season, but he was definitely cheap.
well, mock season is about another 3 weeks, so we'll get back to that. But I want to give a shout out to my boy because Sinker's was hating all off season.
I knew you were going to say
Michael Pittman is wide receiver 11 on the season.
Yeah, he's been
Drafted
great.
in the 7th, 8th rounds in most leagues. I remember all mock season. Oh, I'm staying away from all the Colts players. I'm staying away from Pittman. And here he is getting you 16, 17 points a week.
Wide
So
receiver one, man.
if you drafted Pittman, good for you.
He's the number 11 receiver, WR1. I was definitely I was avoiding him too, and
yeah.
I'll take my L on that one because he's a baller. He's 26 years old, and I like him moving forward now. So.
Yeah. Pittman is like the perfect example of, the community was a year early on him. The community, like, they had him for what he was going to be and everything was there.
That
And then I
post-hype
think
sleeper.
It's interesting that you see this happen a lot. And then it's this year he fell a couple rounds and it's like he finally like broke out to where he thought he was going to be. So that was a lot to do with the Pittman hate for me. I just think that I had him, he burned me, and I was super high on him. He was my guy last year, and so you know what? I'm glad to see he's balling out though, man. Is it a contract year for him, Lou?
It is a contract year. I think he's probably going to end up resigning. But
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with Pittman last year was just that Matt Ryan could not get the ball downfield because he has 99 catches right now, the same mark he had last year, 99 catches. So he's going to finish probably around 110, 115-ish.
Yeah.
So his receptions are still around the same area, but I think it's his yards that really went up. He still has 4 touchdowns as well, same as last year. So now that they got Minshew and early in the year Richardson, both guys can throw the ball downfield a little better, which shows in Pittman's numbers.
Yeah, that's a good
pick.
pick.
So Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, some great honorable mentions. Sinker, did you name someone?
No, my biggest, best value of the year for me was Raheem Mostert. He was a 10th round pick, and he's currently, running back 2 in half point and running back 2 in full point PPR.
How many touchdowns does this dude have?
Yeah,
21.
Even with A-Chain there, like this guy, if you hit on him in the 10th round, you're probably in the championship, or you were playing in the playoffs to make the championship, because the value you could have got before you went with Mostert was insane. And I think like we talked all offseason that like someone in that Dolphins backfield was going to break out. It was just playing the guessing game of who it was. So if you got Mostert in the 10th, that's a league winner right there. So he's my biggest value of this year.
There you go. Some great names. Let's end the season crapping on professional athletes. Who shit the bed for you? Who are we mad at? Who was the biggest bust of the fantasy football year? Because I can name a couple. We're not going to say we're going to keep injuries out of it. We're not going to say like a Nick Chubb or someone like that, or Jefferson because he missed all that time. Like someone who played majority of their snaps and literally just crapped the bed. And I think we could all agree Austin Eckler is definitely in consideration there for where, I've seen people taking him over McCaffrey. I'm not sure what they were thinking, even with the hype that Eckler is a PPR guy. And Austin Eckler, great guy, loves fantasy, huge in the community, but you got to put him on like one of the biggest busts of the year. I guess you could consider Garrett Wilson because everyone with his ADP, everyone thought him and Rodgers would have that special year. Obviously, I said we can't include injury, but we'll go. Rodgers got hurt, but he didn't get hurt. He was still able to play, and he's been okay, but not for where you got him. Not for when you take him. People were taking him over Amon-Ra, and that was wrong. Jalen Waddle hasn't been great. Ramondre Stevenson's been a huge bust. They're all busts here. Dameon Pierce. Oh man, we don't want Sinker and I don't want to talk about Dameon Pierce.
That was my pick, was Dameon Pierce.
Yeah,
he looked really bad this year.
Yeah, Singletary took over. Waller, you can consider him a big one. after all that fourth round hype, like how he's clicking in camp. We had some misses on our my guys, Lawrence, Watson, whatever. Is what it is. We're not perfect, and we take our L's like men. 'Cause that's what we do. But we take our wins with our chin up too. Mine's gonna be Austin Eckler. It's just you're drafting him in the top 3, top 4, and he sunk you. He sunk your team. There's a lot of people you can name here. Big Lou saying Damian Pierce, sinker. Don't hit me with Kadarius Tony, but let me hear.
I mean, Tony is a bust, but it's tough because like I think Jamar Chase had big games this year, but taking him 2 overall or 1 overall, those teams are not playing in a championship, and I think taking him over CMC in any format was a mistake. I know he had big games, but to me, that's one of the biggest busts of the season where he got drafted. I know injuries and I know Burrow was hurt. There's a lot of reasons why, but still, where you took him there, you thought that he was going to be elite every week. And then another one I got to do a little victory lap on. The first episode of the year, I said, who's a guy that's getting way overvalued? And I said, Calvin Ridley. I think Ridley was a guy that kept creeping up. When he was going in like the 5th round, it was fine, but all the way into the 3rd round, Calvin Ridley was a bust this year.
He's been balling out though recently. Like if you somehow had you have Ridley on any of these playoff run teams, he might have saved you a little bit, but definitely.
Yeah, I mean he's been good. He's been good as of late, but the first 10 weeks of the season, this guy was you expected way more from him. So
for sure,
he's still boom bust. Even as of late, even as of late. You probably used a 3rd round pick on him.
100%.
He's either going to get you 5 or 25.
Yeah, and so and I'm playing a league where the Calvin Ridley owner is in the championship, and he's not playing Calvin Ridley in the championship. So he's just got other guys. He picked up Puka. He got lucky with a couple other stuff in the draft, and so luckily he was able to make it out. But to me, with where he was being drafted, you expected way more from him. Christian Kirk was like the guy early on.
Yeah, he was balling. Shame he got hurt. He was definitely Lawrence's guy early on. You make me feel very fortunate about Jamar Chase because I got him at 3 after Jefferson and CMC in a league that I am now in the finals in. Then again, I scooped Puka and I traded for Olave. I made some pretty good moves to get there, but I feel good having taking Chase at 3 and still making the chip. And I have a lot of questions to ask if he does play, are you going to play him in the chip? We could end on that one instead of just crapping on the biggest bust that all year. You guys playing Jamar Chase in the chip? Because I am.
If he's playing this week against the Chiefs in Kansas City, this dude lights us up at Arrowhead every single time he plays. So he is a no-brain must start if he's playing.
Awesome. It's good. That makes me feel a little better. I hope he plays. Lou, are you firing up Chase against the Chiefs if he's in?
I'm playing Chase. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Chase have a big game with Browning's 2nd start?
Yeah.
Monster game. That was against the Jags, right?
So if that outcome's a possibility, I'm putting Chase in there.
Yeah. I worry that they sit him one more week. They don't care about fantasy football, but we'll see.
I know. Yeah, obviously pay attention to the injury reports. This is Tuesday. The first game's on Thursday. You're in charge of that one. We can't do everything for you, but we got a few chimed in Canes fans. Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson, and Dotson in mid rounds killed me. You and a lot of other people. I definitely had some shares of these guys. Not great. And Jonathan, Arthur Smith is my biggest bust. I think that can be said for a lot of people. That guy sucks. We won't talk. I mean, they're winning games, whatever. We're fantasy players. We don't care how good the Falcons do. If you're a Falcons fan, I apologize. But that's it, boys. Another year in the books. Championship weekend. It's been an honor to do this with you all year, Sinker. You've been great filling in for Greg. You crushed it. And Lou, welcome to the show, man. We've been playing for a few years, and it's great to have you on. It's great shooting the shit with your friends about football, and you're a natural, man. So thanks for coming on. So if you want to talk to the people, let them know a little more about you, how long you've been playing, how dedicated you are to this fake football game, just like us. The floor is yours, bro.
So my wife's watching the stream right now, and she's gonna hate this, but uh, me and these guys, we've been mock drafting for some years now. I've probably been seventh grade, sixth grade. I've been playing fantasy football. So it's fun to have a community out there where you have guys who are similar to you. Where by the time March. When do we start?
March? Yeah, after the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl, we just send a message. Who's mocking?
Yeah.
And from March or April, whatever it is, all the way up until September, basically, where we're just mock drafting. Yeah, there she goes. There she goes. So. Yeah. If you guys, Sanchi mentioned it earlier. I'm on TikTok, Habibi_fantasy_. I make videos on there for fantasy advice. Didn't do anything for 2022 season just because got a new home, renovated the home. I got a baby now, and hopefully I'm gonna get back on the content creating this summer.
I would love that, man. You had great videos, and obviously, family first. But you find some more free time. You had something going with that, and I knew that. That's why you're on. You're a friend of ours, and it's been a pleasure having you on, man. So we have a few
Appreciate
people
you guys.
chiming in. Maxell, happy holidays, fellas. Happy holidays, man. Wish you happy, healthy New Year. It's right around the corner. Time's moving quick. I can't believe this is the last episode, but we're a little over and we're out of time. Sinker, anything you want to say before we peace out one last time?
Yeah, man. I just appreciate you letting me jump on this year and sit in for Greg. I know it's not goodbye to Greg. It's we'll see you later. So Greg, if you're listening, we hope to have you back. But yeah, it was an honor being here, an honor doing the show with you. Lou, we met you I think 2 or 3 years ago on Sleeper doing mock. So it's been cool to build the relationship as a friend to you through Sleeper, and it's been great to sit here an hour and talk fantasy football with you. But yeah, man, I love this community and everyone who's listened this whole year. We appreciate you, and there's definitely more to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Last thing I'll say is go win some freaking titles, baby. That's what we plan for all year, and that's what we're gonna do. Jonathan, see you next year. Maybe earlier than you think. Maybe we put a little note right around that when the real NFL draft happens. Maybe we'll hit you with a surprise little special. But landing spots, all that. Something we talked about. We're considering it, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. I know we all get excited once these rookies get drafted. We're dynasty nerds. We love it all. So maybe we'll see you sooner than we think. But if not, mock season starts in 3 weeks. So thanks again. Thanks for anyone who gave us a call, commented, gave us a like, showed love. We really appreciate it. And as I said, go win some championships. So for Big Lou, for Sinker, I'm Sanchi Value. This has been Fantasy Fanline. We love you. We'll see you soon. Peace.